Hey folks, my name is Teo Sager, and for this episode of Selling with Teo, we're going to be discussing why is real estate considered an essential business. Stay tuned. Hey folks, if you're just joining us, my name is Teo Sager. This is my channel, Selling with Teo. While you're at it, go ahead and click the subscribe button below for your weekly updates with all things real estate. For today's episode, we're going to be talking about why is real estate considered an essential business. As of March 28, 2020, the United States Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, and Infrastructure Security updated their essential businesses to also include commercial and residential real estate. However, it's to be known and remain that as it's sourced from the California Association of Realtors COVID updates and the CISA memorandum, that if a city or county has an order of more restrictive guidelines of what's considered essential or more restrictions of the activities in and of itself, then those guidelines will continue to govern the licensee. I want to dedicate this episode to the many facets of real estate, including the parts that most people don't talk about. So why is real estate considered an essential business? Well, what we know from entertainment, whether it's the growing popularity of reality programming, including Million Dollar Listing, Selling Sunset, HGTV, or even Netflix's scripted show Santa Clarita Diet, or even YouTube content, including Ryan Serhant, Meet Kevin, or Graham Stephan, is that we are all enthralled in the glamour of these homes, whether the en-suite master bedrooms, or what's in the closets, or the fridges, or maybe perhaps what kind of cars are in these garages. What about the money that could possibly provide? The entertainment it ensues is actually endless. However, it's our job as agents to incite energy into our listings and get the market excited about them and produce activity. But behind every champagne toast is actually a story. So why do people even buy or sell real estate in the first place? Well, the sense of ownership is actually very powerful. However, there's also building wealth, equity, providing an asset for your children, maybe producing income for yourself, passive income, or maybe you're just tired of renting and knowing that you're paying somebody else's mortgages. Nonetheless, there are going to be those life events that are dark and aren't conceptually easy to digest, including divorce, developing a drug addiction, overdosing, mental illness, job loss, bankruptcy. There's going to be some instances where I can get that information and where I am privy to it in regards to the specific event. I can't get the details, but I can definitely look up, oh, okay, cool, this person passed away, or this person's getting a divorce, and so forth. And you can get that information through public records, or maybe publications, depending on who the person is. When you're working with other agents, sometimes the agents might preview some information. For instance, I had this one deal where the listing agent told myself and my client that the sellers are going through a divorce and they are no longer speaking to one another. So prior to going active in the market, they prepared the inspection reports and did everything necessary just so that they can continue not speaking with each other. So as a buyer's agent, I then had the responsibility of setting the expectation to my client, because moving forward, if we're going to write an offer for this property, we have to take the inspection reports in mind, since those two principals, the sellers, are no longer talking with each other. When you have two individuals who are supposed to be under the same household during this whole safe at home order, that is the last thing that they want. They do not want to be stuck with that other person during this whole quarantine time. And we don't know how long this is going to take. So that in their mind supersedes anything else. This scenario is pretty mild as opposed to some other scenarios, but one thing can lead to another, and if a safety or health issue arises, then an immediate course of action needs to be taken. This information is not something that we can privy to anybody, especially as agents. But hypothetically, I can't tell you that my client's in an abusive relationship and she wants out, and she needs to do everything possible just so she can get to safety. And even if that means listing the property during the quarantine. So my job in this circumstance is to make sure that the property is in its best light, and I incite so much energy that we find the right buyer for her just so she can start this new chapter. Because when you're in those circumstances where you fear more of your situation than of the climate of COVID-19, you're going to do whatever possible to get out of that situation. But in regards to the COVID-19 itself, continue to practice the CDC guidelines in regards to social distancing and wearing face masks and washing your hands and so forth. So consider this scenario where we have a mom of two who just found out that she lost her husband due to a car accident or an unsighted heart attack, or perhaps complications with COVID-19. And now he also doesn't have life insurance, so she's left with a battery of bills to pay, including the funeral costs, all of his debt, as well as pay for day-to-day living for her and her son, because she also lost her job due to COVID-19's outbreak. So what else is she going to do? She has the option to sell her house, maybe perhaps find a condo, or downsize altogether and find a rental property within the same school district, just so her sons can continually keep their friends during this traumatic time. Well, what happens if you lose your job? Well, a lot of folks are experiencing this during the whole COVID-19 outbreak. More so, what happens if somebody lost their job and they were supporting their son or daughter or a significant someone that has a debilitating autoimmune disease or cancer, and they are no longer able to receive their long-term treatments because their provider lost their job and they are past their extension of benefits period. Well, they have the option, or maybe the only option, to sell their house. And in return, they could possibly buy a condo or maybe find a rental in the area to continue their long-term treatment from their proceeds that they received from the sale of the house. I'm keeping these scenarios a little bit broad in regards to these brushstrokes, mainly because we don't know the variables involved, and there's so many moving parts. For instance, we don't know how much equity is involved in the house. Perhaps they might be able to take out a cash out refinance, maybe a line of credit. We might not know if they're able to receive a stimulus package or a loan in and of itself. Perhaps their job may be furloughed, maybe they're able to get a new job during this whole time frame and resume their benefits, or maybe the mindset altogether. We don't know these circumstances. However, my whole point is just to provide insight to these scenarios that we actually don't experience in day-to-day media or within the media that we're consuming. There's only so much that I can personally provide as an agent and as Teo. So if you are a victim of any of these circumstances, I would say please ask for help. I'm not a licensed therapist, I'm not a counselor nor a physician. However, yes, I do volunteer at risk homeless youth centers, and I have been involved with various organizations that dealt with domestic abuse, suicide, and drug and alcohol addiction. Just know that when you do ask for help, it is a safe place. Hey folks, thank you so much for watching Selling with Teo. If you enjoyed our content, feel free to press the subscribe button. And if you have any questions, comments, or additional topics you'd like to discuss, feel free to drop me a message as well. Other than that, see you next time.